All right, my name is Matt Kitzmiller. I'm a corporate trainer at Rosendin Electric, a trade partner headquartered in San Jose, California. And today I'm going to answer 5 questions with the LCI crew. So here we go. All right, so the first question is, what hurdles did you encounter when implementing lean on a project, and how did you tackle them? So I will start by saying that lean was adopted in my organization prior to me arriving to the actual training department that I currently work in. Um, I know that, so I guess I'll answer that in 2 different ways. And the first way is as an organization, I know that we have a tendency of sometimes rushing into certain things and maybe not maybe not implementing them in a slow and progressive manner. Sometimes we jump into new and shiny things in hopes that it'll solve problems. And sometimes they do, but most of the times they don't. So I know that, that's one way that I'll answer it. The second way I'll answer it is that um, there's a lot of there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to um, implementing different ideas and different concepts. Um, for me, when I jumped in, I approached lean, and maybe it was the way that I interpreted, or maybe it was the way that it was presented to me, but I operated in a very rigid format. So I didn't color outside the lines. I didn't think outside of the box. I kept it in the actual box that it was packaged and sent to me in. So when it came to A3s or anything of that nature, I followed the format to a T. Uh, as I started kind of learning more and having more conversations within the Lean community, I started realizing and recognizing the fact that that's like the most unlean idea ever on the planet, that you're trapped inside this box, right? So the creativity kind of started taking control, and I would say overall that's how I personally overcame a lot of the different opportunities or obstacles that I encountered. All right, what stories can you share about a successful lean project or a lean implementation effort that I was involved in, and what do you think made it work? Yes, this is a good one. So I had the last big project that I ran when I was still I ran a factory for my same company, but kind of a sister company where we did a lot of modular construction. Um, we ran into some challenges where it was clear there was a lot of ideas coming from our field staff. And we were in a traditional space where, you know, we're running this place and we're managers and, we have all the good ideas. But it came apparently clear, extremely clear, that some of our field staff had some different ideas. So we decided to implement this, basically a 2-minute lean. So our guys would come in, they would kind of get their stuff together. They would have a stretch and flex where they're stretching and kind of preparing for the day. Then they'd have like a toolbox talk, like some sort of teaching moment right before they go to work. So in between that toolbox talk and them putting their tools on and actually, going and doing their job, we gave them 2 minutes. So in those 2 minutes, they were able to basically do anything they wanted, any sort of improvement that they could make that would, make it easier for their day-to-day job, whether it was for them or for someone else. So initially it was I would say 70% of the people were somewhat interested in it. 30% of them, or around 30% of the other people, were, construction workers can be kind of colorful with their language and their concepts at times. So they weren't, let's just say they weren't as excited about this new opportunity that we gave them. But as time went on, and I would say probably 5, maybe 6 days later, all of a sudden 2 minutes wasn't enough. And it was like blatantly apparent. So our 2-minute lean became a 5-minute lean. And if it was up to our staff, it would have probably been a 10 and then a 20 and then a 30 and then a 60-minute lean before the project was complete. But that's where we started seeing a lot of like innovation coming in. Some of the flow within the factory that I ran, how trucks came in and how they left. There was no signage, so there was a couple people that came up with some different ways to alert drivers as far as this is where you're coming in, this is where you're picking up the product, this is how you're exiting, and so on and so forth. So that we had some temporary signs that eventually became permanent signs, and there's just a lot of different ideas and concepts like that that started to come to fruition. So. In your opinion, what are the biggest benefits of applying lean and how have they impacted your projects, teams, or organization? Uh, I would say, I would say the biggest, I would say the biggest benefit of applying lean is we have a very solid culture of continuous improvement within my organization. Um, I think that a lot of that has to do with some of the training that we provided. So we don't teach any like actual lean courses at my organization. However, we do sprinkle different lean concepts and methods within all of our training, well, most of our training, I'd say. So as time has gone on, all of the kind of buzzwords that are involved in lean have, I don't want to say they've dissipated, but I don't hear them as much as I once did. So it's become more of a standard. So when it comes to continuous improvement, kind of to my point earlier about managers doing all the heavy lifting and thinking, I've started seeing like focus groups when there's a challenge or an issue within my organization. I start seeing people that are coming together that wouldn't normally really work together, right? I'm seeing executives and senior field leadership in the same room hammering out issues. There's safety people in there. We're seeing a lot more adoption of like big room mindset. So I would say overall, the biggest benefits are just focusing on the absolute basics and getting good at the fundamentals. All right, question 4. How do you assess if your lean game is strong, and are there metrics or techniques that you can rely on? So this is a funny one. I wouldn't say that my lean game is very strong, um, but I will say this. So the awareness is a huge portion of this. A lot of people, a lot of people use this these tools like feel and touch, like it feels right, or it seems right, but not having any sort of a standard or not having any sort of an expectation that's sustainable, having a system, having a program, having a process, having something along those lines. If you don't have something like that, then you're just kind of using hope, right? You're hoping that you can replicate what you did before. You're hoping that you can replicate success and avoid some of the tragic events that have taken place in previous projects. So I would say that when it comes to metrics or techniques, when I first started talking about lean tools and lean things within my organization and my multiple classes that I teach, it was a new concept. And explaining that was important, right? And explaining some of these tools and their, how they work in their applications. But I feel like now, a good checkpoint for me is the awareness is there. So when I sprinkle some of these things into my current classes, like just 2 weeks ago, I taught a series of classes over the course of 3 days. And people knew what the downtime acronym was. They knew what those letters stood for. More of them did than they didn't, I should say. They understood, some of the basic fundamentals of lean. So as far as a metric, like I don't have any numbers that I could really, share. And I wish I did, but I don't. But I can say that the awareness, the overall awareness of lean, the availability of lean tools it's a lot greater than it used to be, and that's enough of a metric for me to know that we're doing the right thing. All right, lastly, so if someone's just dipping their toes into lean, what advice would you offer lessons you've learned? So this is a question that I've answered now in two different continents. Um, I think most importantly, it's the fundamentals. I use the two pillars of lean, the continuous improvement and respect for people. I use those as my North Star. So anything that I'm doing, as long as it aligns with either one of those or hopefully both of those, then I typically know I'm on the right track. A lot of times you can refine some of your work by using lean tools, and other times you'll start to use lean tools and find out that the process that you've been using is not as great as you may have thought it was, right? If you start using like a plan, do, check, adjust type mindset, or if you use that tool, it it might be like one of those things where you think you can plan, you can do, you can check, but the A part, right, the adjust, or the act, that part, it's important that you finish its predecessor before going into it, right? It's important that you follow that process and you don't skip things. And I think a lot of times people want to skip things because it seems easier. But that's the problem. And that's probably why you're there in the first place, right? So focusing on the fundamentals, focusing on repairing what you already have is like I said earlier. I know that my organization and many others that I've talked to are guilty of, a shiny new, gizmo, gadget, or whatever it may be. And that's going to solve all of your problems. Well, it's likely not going to solve all of your problems. If you can refine or repair and use the systems that you already have, and address whatever elephant that it is in the room, if you can address those things and repair what you have as opposed to adopting, new things, then that's what I would recommend as the first step. But I would 100% focus on the fundamentals, focus on gimbal walks, focus on 5S, focus on PDCA. These are the things that really are basically free. But it'll also show you, where your allies are, and how much, people are willing to think outside of the box and try something different. So that's all 5 questions. I hope that helps some of you, and have a wonderful day.